Karkadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Chullin, Daf Yomi, Daf Kuf Yud Aleph. Yeah, you got 111. Okay, Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph says the Gemara. Ki Hadar Salik, right? When Rav Safra went up to Eretz Ashkechel Rebbe Zireka, Elmaleh, he says, Hainami lo tibay lecha. There's also not a safek. Da'anav yanai bered Rabbi Ami Klan lebei Yehuda, right? Bered Rabbi Shimon Pazi. V'karivu lan kanya bekofa. So they gave us a kaneh of a behema which was connected with the re'ah, lev, and the kaved, that they were all cooked together. So they cooked together the lungs, the heart, and the liver. V'achalna, and we ate it. Now, it comes out that the blood of the kaved is going to be mutar even after it separated it, and it's not going to prohibit the other meat which was inside the kedira. So matkif Ravashi v'itema Rabbi Shimon Mazurukna. So asked Ravashi Rabbi Shimon Mazurukna Dilma, maybe ki kaneh chutz kedirava, maybe it was outside of the kedira. That means the kaved was outside, and therefore the blood that came out of it is not going to prohibit anything. Inami, or michlata v'chalele mikara. You did chalita at the beginning. Chalita is that you throw it inside of boiling hot water, and therefore once you throw it inside boiling hot water, it stops the blood from coming out. It's like like it's a power thing that like whoops, like they put it in boiling hot water. Because he used to put it in chometz. Rav Nachman chaltele berotchin. To put it in boiling hot water. The savar of Papa kamed Rav Meimar chala asir, and if you do it in chometz, it's going to be asur. Amalei chala asir unami asir. So then it's also going to be asur. Because if it's going to be polet, it's going to absorb it afterwards, right? So therefore, since the kaved is going to be mutar, obviously the chometz, the vinegar, is going to stop it. Right, it's going to like make it like shrink, that it's not going to be polet anymore. Okay, says the Gemara. Rav Bar Shaba ikla lebe Rav Nachman. Rav Bar Shaba came to visit by the house of Rav Nachman. Aitile kavda shlika. He brought him kaved, which was shaluk, cooked. Velo achal, he didn't eat it. Amrula, they said barbe Rav de legav lo achil. Says what? Talmida yeshiva here is not eating. Umanu Rav Bar Shaba. Amalu Rav Nachman, right? Gamu l'shaba, right? Pour it down his throat. Yeah. Force him to eat it. So says the Gemara, Ketanai, it's a machloket tanaim. Rabbi Eliezer says the kaved oser v'noser. The kaved is going to oser other things, and it's not going to become a sur. Why shepoletet v'nobola? Because it only spits out, but it doesn't absorb. He's going to come and he's going to say metubelet oseret and neseret. If it's already metubelet, which has got tavlinin, so therefore it's going to be oseret and neseret. Shluka, if it's cooked, it's oseret v'gam neseret. Rabba Bar Avuna ikla lebe Rav Nachman. Right, Rabba Bar Avuna came and he visited the house of Rabba Bar Nachman. Tlat save tachai. He brought 3 seim of patnekiya. That they came and they put shemen and dvash on top of it. So Amalehu, so he comes and he says, "Miyavi yadata datina." Why? How did you know I was coming? Amrulei, they said, "Miadifta lamina." He says, "What? Are you going to be more chashuv than Shabbat?" Tichti vekarata la Shabbat. Oh, neg. What does that mean? They knew it was Shabbat coming. So they came and they did lichvot Shabbat. So it wasn't because he was coming. They did it because of Shabbat. They said, well, Shabbat is coming. You're going to do something very special. He found the kaved, which was roasted. That had one of the orkim, one of the things of the blood. How do you call the orek? In English, I forgot. One of the vessels, right? That you had a blood. The arteries, I think it's called. Why did you do this? Right? What do you want me to do? Elmaleh, he says, Kir'u sheti ve'erev. You have to tear it, sheti ve'erev, right? V'chitucha letachat. And then you make sure that when you're roasting it, it's downwards. That way all the blood, right? Because since you tore it and it's facing downwards, so all the blood will go towards the fire, right? On the bottom, and it's going to come out. But that's only going to be by kavda. But we're talking about the tchol, which is a spleen, shumana be'almahu, it's shuman only. Because he used to come and used to make a food of tchol, of spleen, on the day that he used to do a kazat dam. He used to take out blood. He used to take spleen. מה אתה אומר? באמת? אני אף פעם בחיים לא אכלתי. לא. באמת?
זה לא רק תחול, כמה זה? כמו עוגה כזאת, כמו רולדה כזאת. תקח אותה ושם אותה...
כן? אוקיי. Itmar, it was stated, kavda, ilave bisra. When you put kaved on top of meat, shari, it's going to be mutar. Dama mishak shari, because the dam, which is polet, right, is going to go on the meat, and it's not going to be absorbed in the meat. Kachla ilave bisra. But if you have the chol, the chal on top of the basar. Remember, the khal is where you have the udder of the animal, where all the milk is. So therefore, it's going to be asur. My time what's reasoning? Chalav sarucha misrach, because the chalav it gets stuck in the meat and it gets absorbed. So therefore, you can't. Rav Dibin Narda amat ipcha. He taught the other way around. Kach la'ilava bisra is going to be mutar. My time what's reasoning? Chalav shchuta midrabanan, because the isur of chalav with basar is only going to be midrabanan. He says it's only going to be a sum Rabbanan. 1 second. So he says, right? He says, Chalav Shchuta Rabbanan, Kavda Ilava Bisa is going to be a sur because dam is doraita. Tarash Mimar, ya ilchata, ben Kavda ben Kachla, whether it's kaved or the Kchal, Tute Bisa, if it's going to be underneath the basar, it's going to be permitted. If it's going to be on top of the basar, it's going to be lechatchila asur. Ravashi Ikla Levei, Rabbi Baravua Chamua. He says Rav Ashi came to visit the house of Rami Bar Abba, his father-in-law. Chazi Lebrei, he saw his son, the Rami Bar Abba, of Rami Bar Abba, which is basically his brother-in-law. The Ka Kufyudalef Mubet 111b. Sheka the Kashapit Kavda Ilava Bisa, that he was putting the kaved on top of the basar. Amani, he says, Kama Yair Haim Rabbanan. Look at it, look at Balgava this rabbi is. Emar Dam Rabbanan Biavad, Lechatchila Miyaman. It says only Biavad, it's not Lechatchila. So says the Gemara Veika Beduge. Now if he's got like a kibul, even basar on top of the kaved is going to be asur, because the dama kaved is going to go into a kli, and then it's going to become asur. He says, what's the difference between the blood and the basar? So he says, dama de bisra shachan. He says, dam of the basar goes to the bottom of the kli, right, and the shuman goes on the top. Dama de kavda kafe, it goes on the top, meaning the blood of the kaved goes on the top, right, and therefore that's what it's going to happen. So he says, when you have a sakin that you do shchita, you're not allowed to cut something which is going to be hot, right? Why? He says because the sakin is bolat min adam, and therefore it's going to go into the food. So he says, sonen, amri la baya adecha. If it's going to be sonen, you could just do adecha. Amri la lo baya adecha. Some people say, no, you don't even have to do adecha. You don't have to even rinse it out. So Amr Rav Yudam Shmuel karash v'lach babasar asul lechol baroteach. If you have a kara that you came and you did melicha to it to take out the blood, you're not allowed to eat it when it's going to be absorbing the blood. What does that mean? When you salt something, it starts becoming like a cooking process, just like roteach. Kavush is like kavushal. If you pickle something for 24 hours, or if it's going to be spicy, it's something different. But if it's difficult for 24 hours, so it's like kavushal. So kiata Rabbi Yochanan maliach eno keroteach kavush eno kavushal. So they said that it's not roteach and it's not like kavushal. So Amar Abai says, Had Ravin, that which Ravin just said now, Leta, it's not true. There was a kiara of cheres by Rabbi Ami that they came and they did melicha by a meat. The tavre, and they broke it. Why did they break it? Because it wasn't kosher anymore. So Michti Rabbi Ami Tamid Rabbi Yochanan Ava. Rabbi Ami was a Tamid of Rabbi Yochanan. My Tama Tavre, why did he break it? Lamishum is not because that he heard it from Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan says Maleach keroteach. So obviously that's what it has to be. So Yativ Rav Kahana Achua de Rav Yehuda Kamed Rav Huna. So Rav Kahana, the brother of Rav Yehuda, was sitting in front of Rav Huna. Yativ come and he said, if you did melicha inside of a kara, you're not allowed to eat rotchim there. Utznon shechatcho besakin, when you have tznon, the radish, you come and you cut it with a sakin, you're allowed to eat it with kutach. Yeah? My tama, what's reasoning? I'm going to buy kutach, it's a milky dish. It's like a milky porridge, a milky dish. So Abai says, the tznon was bolea tam veter, and he says the ke'ara was bolea tam v'isur. So Rava says, even if you put heter, what does it help? So but it's going to come to an isur, and then isur akachi. So he says, Rava says, you're right. The tznon, you can actually taste it, and therefore you're allowed to taste it to see does it have tam basar or not. Meaning like this: if I give you a tznon right now, taste it. Does it taste like meat or not? If it tastes like meat, it's meaty. If it doesn't taste like meat, it's part of it. So he says here, you can't eat it. Because how are you going to eat it? If it was cooked with blood you're not allowed to eat. So you're going to taste it to see if it tastes like blood or not. It doesn't work. So Amaleh Rav Papa Rava, Velita mekfeila rama, give it to a goy that is a cook, a chef. Kfeila rama. Milotani, didn't we learn that Rashi b'yishva b'vasar, lo yivashe b'chalav, yivashe b'noten tam, b'yishel b'truma, lo yivashe b'chulim, yivashe b'noten tam. Right? Amrin ambishma truma, give it to a kohen. Because the kohen is allowed to eat truma. Right? But basar v'chalav, who's going to taste it to see if it has tam or not? So Martalan, litame kvela, give it to a kvela. Hachanami litame kvela. So says, you're right. Hachanami kikamina delek kvela. There's no kvela. That's why right? There's nothing what to do. Itmar, it was stated. There's a very famous Gemara that we learned. Dagim shalu bekara, right? This is a not barnat, right? Dagim that came and they went on top of a plate. Rav says asul locham bekutach. You're not allowed to eat it with kutach. Shmuel says you're allowed to eat it with kutach. Rav amar asul. Rav comes and he says you're not allowed to eat it with kutach. Noten tamu. Shmuel amar mutar. Noten tam bar noten tamu. It's not barnat, right? Noten tam bar noten tam. It's a one taste giving it to another taste. So VeHeter Rav love v'filu. You should know that which Rav just said this, he didn't say mefurash. It was like inferred. And he had an eye problem. They came and they made him mishchat to put on his eyes. Then afterwards they came and they gave him a food. Time letama de shaifa, and he tasted it. He says it gives such a taste to it that it's nikan in the food. Which means once he heard that, he held that it was not barnat, it's like tam gamur. Meaning even though it was like two steps removed, if it was still ad kedekach able to give taste, so he says no, even not barnat is a problem. Says the Gemara velohi, but it's not true. You know why? It's very, very bitter. So because it's so bitter, that's why you're going to taste it. So he didn't eat it. Amarle, they said, Rabach, he says, well, I give it to your rabbi, and he did eat it. So now I give it to you, and you're not going to eat it? So לרב שלך נתנו את זה, והוא כן אכל את זה, ואתה בעצמך לא אוכל את זה, מה קורה? So the Rav Elmaleh, he says, did you retract? Elmaleh, chasle lezare de Abba bar Abba, delis velimidi, delos svilali. He says, chalila lo, to the son of Abba bar Abba, right, to give you something that I don't hold of, which means it's a sur ba'achila. So Rav Huna, Rav Chia bar Ashi, avuyat vechad behai gisa de mibara de Surah. One was on one side of the gesher of Surah, of the river of Surah. Chad behai gisa de mibara, the other side of the gesher, right, of the bridge. למור הייתי לדגים שלו ואכל בכותך, למור הייתי לתאנים והנביאים בתוך הסעודה, ואכל ולא בריך, he didn't make a ברכה. מור אמר לחברס, one said the other ones, יתמה, יתום, עבד רבך אחי? Did your rabbi do like that? ומור אמר לחברס, the one says, יתמה, עבד רבך אחי? מור אמר לחברי, אנא כשמואל סבידה, I hold like Shmuel, right, that you're allowed to eat דגים שלו בקרה. ומור אמר לחברי, אנא כרבחי הסבילה לי, תתנא רבחי, הפע פותר כל מיני מאכל, ויין פותר כל מיני משקים. Bread is going to be poter everything, and yain is going to be poter everything as well. We're just learning Beki'im BaHalacha. Yain poter kol shar mashkim. Samar chizkiya mishum abaye. Hilcheta, dagim shalu bekara, mutar leochlo bekutach. Tznon shachatcho besakin shechatach bo basar, asur leochlo bekutach. V'anemile, tznon. It's only going to be tznon. Why? The agav churpe bala. Because since it's so charif, it's going to absorb. Aval kishut, but if it's going to be, like courgette or all these other types of, like cucumbers, and not cucumbers is a better word for it. Not cucumbers, it's zucchini. Garele bepiske. He says you just gorero tomakom ve'achil, and then you're going to come and you're going to eat it.